NXT, February the 4th, 2024. We got a couple of things to discuss. One, Duke Hudson has been released, a solo release, which is actually quite interesting. And an update on the WWE Evolve show. So let's talk about Duke Hudson. So apparently Duke Hudson was actually released last month, and nobody knew about it. So it was released on Fightful today that he had been cut. He then put out a video where he did the old Mick Foley thing where he's wearing two different vests, interviewing himself about how he felt about his 6 years in NXT. And he's wearing a black vest and a white vest. Basically, the black vest is his angry side, basically saying he spent 6 years in NXT wasting his time. And expressing some frustration about other Australian wrestlers that did well in WWE, such as Rhea Ripley and Grayson Waller. While the white side was kind of dour, kind of sad, saying that, he doesn't feel like he wasted his time, but and he can be happy for his friends while also being sad for himself. Dave Meltzer, I believe, came out later on and said that the reason for the cut is that Duke Hudson is not seen as a main roster guy for WWE, and therefore they cut him. Duke Hudson has been in NXT for a long time. I did watch an NXT pay-per-view just kind of randomly, and I forget what event it was already. It wasn't that long ago. But he wrestled Cameron Grimes in a hair versus hair match when he was Duke Hudson, the gambling guy. And this was a good 4 years ago. And he's been doing Chase U for a while too. So the internet's been blowing up mostly because, Duke Hudson was a part of Chase U, which was incredibly over. And NXT is probably the top faction in WWE next to the Bloodline in terms of selling merchandise and being super over. Of course, Chase University was imploded about late last year, late 2024, when they decided to have Ridge Holland kill the faction. Shortly thereafter, Duke Hudson was cut. So there's a couple of people who are upset. There's one side of the people who look at Duke Hudson and say he's a very tall guy, he's fit, he's charismatic. He didn't really get a chance to do much of anything outside of Chase U and the gambling thing. He never got a chance to, do anything else. But at the same time, 6 years is a really long time in WWE. Even if it is just NXT, it's a long time. He was a big guy, in shape. I can't say anything bad about him, but I can't say that him getting cut was the worst thing in the world. Now, I did like the video that he put out once it was announced that he had been cut. I did like that video. Hopefully he can go somewhere and do well. WWE can't be for everybody. But then there's the people who are upset because Duke Hudson is LGBT. And that's where things get kind of weird, because what ended up derailing Duke Hudson's career initially was his, I don't know what you want to call it, relationship with Jake Atlas. Now, you guys may not remember Jake Atlas, but he was one of Dave Meltzer's favorite wrestlers at some point in time. He was like, oh, Jake Atlas, he would be so great in AEW, blah, blah, blah. And then Jake Atlas went to WWE. This was back when WWE had a pretty decent cruiserweight division. Jake Atlas never really got the ball rolling. He was cut in 2021. He went over to AEW in 2022, and then he was released from there once it had come out that he had abused a boyfriend. That boyfriend, of course, being Duke Hudson. And that kind of made things very weird. I don't think Duke Hudson ever recovered from that situation. But he had a solid career. He was an NXT Tag Team Champion. He was a staple on television. I know that WWE has said that they're going to tighten up on how much time these people get in NXT. And if there's nothing for them long term, they're just going to let them go. And that seems to be what's happening here. I don't think that every cut is the worst thing in the world. I don't think Duke Hudson is a guy that's going to be missed in WWE. Do I think he has potential? Sure. I don't necessarily know how old he is, though. I would imagine he's in his 30s at this point. But if he can go somewhere else and get over, then I'm pretty sure WWE will be glad to have him back. But this is an opportunity, the breakup of Chase University opens up more opportunities for the talent. Now, I will say this, they're not doing budget cuts. So this was like a solo cut, which he joked that it's not budget cuts, it means they just hate you, which I don't think they hate him. I just think they realized how long he's been there and they didn't know what else to do with him and just decided to cut him loose. But that opens the door for so many other people. If that's going to be, let's say Meltzer is correct and they just didn't look at him and just didn't see main roster potential in him. There's got to be a lot of people that have that kind of look when you look at NXT. I mean, Hank and Tank, that Inamura guy, which I know he's Japanese, Josh Briggs, Bull Buchanan's son, Tatum Paxley. There's got to be so many people that when you're looking at NXT and you're like, I just don't see how these people are going to make it on the main roster. I mean, recently there was a story that Shotzi got called into the Royal Rumble and then got replaced with Alexa Bliss. Like, if you just going to say, look, we don't see long-term value in Duke Hudson, I get it. But if it's going to be we don't see him really making an impact on the main roster, I mean, shit, Pillman's son might not make it that much longer then. There's a lot of people in NXT. And I would imagine there's probably is about to be some budget cuts coming. It's about that time anyway. And from what I saw, it's kind of going to be a little bit of a spoiler. They've been showing these screens at the end of the show, the Vengeance Day screens. And this week they kind of teased some new talent. And I looked and there's a couple of people who follow these things, and some of them are like WWE ID talent, I believe, or new NXT recruits that are going to be coming in soon. So yeah, there's probably about to be some cuts, especially on the male side. And Duke Hudson was probably just a victim of that they're doing some roster refreshing. And Duke Hudson had been there for a long time. So he might be the first of many. If I were to venture a guess, there's going to be some more people that are going to end up getting the chop too. But just looking at things and being fair, I don't think JC Jane's going to make it. And I just looked at her name. I'm like, I don't think she's going to make it. Good. All right, let's get into WWE Evolve, which is their partnership with Tubi. Also, WWE ID kind of explained all of this stuff. I'm not going to read this whole thing. It says WWE Evolve will introduce viewers to the most intense and charismatic prospects recruited from college athletics and independent wrestling as they strive to build their in-ring careers and elevate their personas. WWE Evolve will prominently feature talent from WWE's World Class Performance Center in Orlando and WWE ID, a first-of-its-kind developmental program. So basically, it is going to be Level Up, which is essentially what a Level Up was. That's what this is going to be. They're trying to make it sound like it's going to be something different, but no, it sounds like Level Up to me. The college recruits from their NIL program and the indie wrestlers from their WWE ID program, jumbled up in a salad, served up on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. It is just entirely too much wrestling for me to consume. So I may watch like the first episode or two of this just to get a feel of it, and then probably not watch any more of it, if we're being honest. That's just me being fair. Unless it's actually fun. In which case, what I might do is combine it with NXT and do one big NXT/Evolve review, and that would probably get put up on Thursday. So WWE Evolve, WWE ID, I'm sorry, they have so many programs running around. They basically are saying that they're going to do ID matches for their Twitter account. through the World Wrestling Network. I think that's the indie promotion that used to own Evolve initially. I don't know. Just don't get me the line. Anyway, they're utilizing these WWE ID matches to pick the talent that was going to end up on Evolve. And I'm not sure. They say wins and losses will get you up on Evolve, but that doesn't seem to make sense considering it's a work. So you're picking who's winning and who's losing, and then the NIL talent don't have to make these decisions. But that seems to be what they're doing here. And you know what? If they're trying to create a tiered system similar to baseball or basketball, where you have, your prospects, your training team and all this kind of stuff, then your AA team, then your AAA team, and then your main roster, you made the team, then your starting five and all of that, it seems to make sense. I wonder how much Tubi is paying for this, but it's probably a pack of chewing gum and a hearty handshake, because Tubi, you can upload shit on there for free. It's whatever. But this is probably just another step in moving away from... I wouldn't be surprised if they don't start doing the WWE Evolve shows, likely from some of these training facilities that they have, like Reality of Wrestling and et cetera, because then it will be somewhat interesting getting wrestlers to wrestle in front of different crowds and whatnot. But like I said, I'll probably watch the first 2 episodes just to get a feel of it. The launch is March the 5th, if I remember correctly, which is 4 days after Elimination Chamber. I'll probably get a feel of it just to see how it's going to be. And then if it's just another bunch of work rate shit, then I'll probably just dump it and not care. But if it's actually like storylines and they're doing interesting stuff, maybe I'll keep watching it. But it's a whole lot of wrestling to watch, man. Because I still watch AEW, I still watch TNA. It's entirely too much wrestling. I cannot consume that much wrestling, and I definitely cannot consume that much WWE. So this show might be one of those things where I'll watch it or I let it play while I'm washing dishes or something like that. But I didn't watch Level Up much at all. And this seems like I probably won't end up watching this either. Also, another note about NXT is that Tyler Breeze has been confirmed to be one of the writers for NXT. He also states that he does more in NXT, which likely means he's a producer of some kind. He also runs a training school called Flatbacks with, I believe, Sean Spears. Now, they're not a WWE ID school. To my knowledge, I checked and I couldn't find that they were confirmed to be one. But there's probably going to be some Flatback students coming through. There's probably going to be some people who they personally trained coming in. So Tyler Breeze, who spent 10 years in the WWE developmental system, coming back home to give back, seems kind of fun. Seems pretty interesting. Let's see how this turns out, because they're constantly turning over the creative for NXT. I think CM Punk is still working as a producer down there too, if I remember correctly. I think he's sitting right next to Shawn and Triple H down there. So they're doing all kinds of stuff down in NXT. So we'll see if it turns into too many cooks in the kitchen. But as of right now, it's just nice to have guys like Tyler Breeze back. All right, let's get into the show finally. Stephanie Vaquer defeats JC Jane in what was probably JC Jane's best match. This is a really good effort from her. Jasmine Nix jumped in the ring and actually broke up a pin, but this was not called a disqualification. And then Stephanie just won the match with her finisher. Odd decision making here. So there's that. But JC Jane and Stephanie Vaquer had a decent match. Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson were congratulated for how they put up a fight, but it was all kind of sarcastic because they dropped the ball. Well, Zarya said that they dropped the ball. She comes out looking like the Ultimate Warrior every week and does nothing. Her and Sol Ruka get chastised for not even trying, but Zarya is pretty upset and saying that they're gonna do something about this. And they ended up getting into it with Chemical X, basically Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan. That leads to a tag team match later where Sol Ruka actually defeats Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. It was a tag team match. Sol Ruca and Zarya defeated Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan with a Soul Snatcher on Gigi. Whoa, this is not going anywhere fast with this Chemical X thing. They have not won a match since they formed. Also, there seems to be teasing a heel turn for Sol Ruca and Zarya, which is fine and probably deserved, but this is not what was advertised with Zarya. We were advertised in Amazon, a Beth Phoenix-like figure who was going to come through and crush the buildings. That's what we was advertised when it comes to Zarya. We believed that it was going to be like an Awesome Kong kind of gimmick. Now she just kind of sits backstage with the rest of the girls in full regalia and not much else. I know she has gone on record and telling people that, trust the process. She's going to be here for a while. She's not done fully moving to the United States yet and all this sort of stuff. But the more you are just a normal person on the show, then the more normal you seem. You gotta be abnormal at some point, You just can't be like Sol Ruca's quiet tag team partner, the muscle for her tag team. And then Sol Ruca doesn't even really fit her gimmick. And they don't fit each other's gimmick. It's an oddball tag team, but they don't do oddball tag team stuff, which is what you should do when you're an oddball tag team. All right, Lexis King comes out, goes full heel, just like I said he would. Talked about how he can't be humble when he's on the path to being the biggest star in WWE. Says that William Regal tried to show him the light, teach him to be who he really was. But he says he doesn't take advice because he is his father's son. And he doesn't have normie beta blood. He's the son of a psycho. And he didn't ask for this. He wanted to be somebody else, but he realized that he's at his best when he is who he says he is. And he is his father's son. Then he announced that there's going to be a change of the rules for the Heritage Cup. No more rounds, and it will be one fall to a finish, winner take all, which is some of the best news I've heard in a long time because I hated that round system when it comes to this Heritage Cup. All of a sudden, Fandango's theme music starts to play, and it is Fandango. He comes out, and it's Johnny Curtis, or JDC as they call him in TNA. And he says he's coming out representing the system. And he said he used to get real weird in NXT. But now he's representing the system and they want championships from anywhere. So he said he's already talked to Ava. And he's got the match for the Heritage Cup next week. Lexis King mocks him being Fandango. And actually agrees with the challenge. So JDC, a.k.a. Johnny Curtis, a.k.a. Fandango, got a nice welcome back chant. He was also in developmental forever before the Fandango character hit and he got out of there. So it's ought to be nice. I don't hate Fandango or JDC as much as I hate the rest of the system. So this is going to work out just fine. Tony D'Angelo, him and Stax are having issues. Stax is calling him the Hollywood Don, being real sarcastic and giving him attitude. Tony D'Angelo doesn't want Stax busting his balls. He wants him to bust up Ridge Holland. So then they have the match, Ridge Holland versus Stax. Ridge Holland won the match. Shawn Spears and his crew were watching along. Izzy Dame jumped in the ring and distracted Ridge Holland, but that didn't stop him. Instead, Ridge Holland still just won the match. So there's that. After which, Ridge Holland says that he wants a real one-on-one match with Tony D'Angelo without anybody interfering, because Tony D'Angelo can't win without his family. Tony D'Angelo says he doesn't need his family to win. Izzy Dame from the cheap seats says, "Why don't you guys have a cage match?" And then Ridge Holland was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." To which Tony D'Angelo was like, "Okay, sure, whatever." And so they're going to have a cage match for the North American title next week. Interesting. All right. It seems like Ridge Holland might actually win the North American title now. But it'll probably be Izzy Dame costing him the belt, as I fully believe that Izzy Dame is an agent working for Shawn Spears. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case, because she wasn't dressed like a mob wife this week. But poor Stax. He's been around for so long, and he's still doing jabroni jobs. Anyway, Briggs and Inamura won a tag team championship match Fraxium said they don't deserve it. So they went off to go find opponents to prove that they do. Inamura ends up finding the No Quarter Cash crew and getting them to agree to have a match with them, while Josh Briggs ends up talking Hank and Tank into giving them a tag team match. And then they both go to Ava, not knowing that each one has already agreed to a match with the other team. Ava then decides, okay, it's a triple threat match, and it's a number one contenders match. So it's going to be No Quarter Cash crew versus Hank and Tank versus Inamura and Josh Briggs, and the winner will get a tag team championship match. Meanwhile, Fraxium will be wrestling the Namath brothers. That will be Nick Namath and his brother Ryan, his useless, untalented, unseasoned brother Ryan, at some point on TNA. I don't know if that's this week, next week, or whatever. Okie dokie. Briggs and Inamura's been around for a long time. He ain't done nothing on this show, you know. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I don't know what more to tell you. Like, he's just been around. He's just been there. So Bayley, Julia, and Roxanne Perez had a segment. Roxanne Perez goes on and on about Bayley being a loser. Bayley used to be her hero. Now Bayley is in her way. How she's going to win all these championships on all the brands. And Bayley says that Roxanne is an idiot. That Bayley says that you don't understand. I built these first NXT rings with my bare hands. This is where I stood and Dusty gave me a microphone for the first time. She wants Roxanne and all the other girls to surpass her, but said that when Roxanne lost the championship, she lost her mind, and she might just lose her best friend too. Then Bayley talks about how she's got a qualifying match for Elimination Chamber on Raw, but, you know, she wants to win the NXT championship too, and says that she'll be fine if she lost at Vengeance Day, which is weird for an opponent to say, but says that, you know, Roxanne, you know, what's going to happen to you if you lose? Roxanne Perez says when it comes to the NXT title, she has no friends, no role models, and no equals. And then she says, maybe when I win the championship and I leave the brand to go win the Raw championship or the SmackDown championship, then maybe Cora can win a title finally. Well, I was like, whoa, that was out of nowhere. Julia shows up, says that Roxanne Perez is nothing without a title, and that only her or Bayley will survive at Vengeance Day. This is completely interrupted by Charlotte Flair, who came out, reminded everybody that she is an NXT homegrown, and NXT will always be her home, and that she won the title in 2020 after she won the Royal Rumble the first time. She gave credit to Roxanne Perez for her Iron Woman performance in the Royal Rumble. Said she was willing to get in the ring and shake Julia's hand because she respects her so much, and kind of glossed over Bayley being there. While all of this was going on, Cora Jade appears with a kendo stick and started whacking Bayley and Julia with it. She squared up on Roxanne Perez, actually swung at Roxanne, and Roxanne ran away. And then she went back to hitting Bayley with the kendo stick. Bayley, incensed, ran to Ava to get a match with Cora Jade, which has been added to next week's show. So we're going to get more and more and more Bayley. Bayley bros. How you loving it? You got all your plates, you know? It's like having all those beers like you're an Oktoberfest waitress, you know? You got more Bayley than you know what to do with. You got more Bayley than you got teeth at this point. And it's not enough, because Bayley actually says she wants to go to TNA. And she says she's already contacted Triple H about being a part of the TNA exchange. Her and Natalya have both said that they want to do it. So be looking for that. You're going to have Bayley all up and through this thing. If Bayley was cancer, you're going to get stage 4, baby. And look, I love me some Auntie Pam, but jeez, you gotta cut me some slack. You gotta cut me a break, baby. You know, I feel like that fat kid at Matilda. In Matilda, there's only so much chocolate cake I can eat. You know, you gotta give me a break. Especially when you have girls sitting in catering. For you to use Bayley this much, it's kind of suck ass, you know. This goes back to what I was talking about with Zarya. You know, she's been on the bench all this time, it seems unfair that we're using Bayley this much when you have other girls, that are not really getting an opportunity. Seems kind of whack to me, but hey, what do I know? Ava makes Ethan Page versus Javon Evans for Vengeance Day. She was going to suspend Javon Evans because he's a fucking idiot. Because he keeps attacking Ethan Page even though he's not medically clear. But Ethan Page wanted to have a match with him. And that's all it took to change Ava's mind. She is the worst GM. The guy is not medically clear. You just said that. And then you book him for a match without knowing whether he's medically cleared or not. And said the match will only happen if he's medically cleared, like Ava, sweetheart, sweet pea. You gotta have more between your ears than a coconut. All right, I know you a coconut brain. You gotta do better than this. This pineapple brain that you was born with is not your fault. But come on, it's obvious that he has to be medically cleared first. Why book the match before you know whether he's medically cleared or not? Quit being a dumb bot. Kalani Jordan versus Carmen Petrovic. Interesting match. They gave Carmen Petrovic some kind of kung fu music now. And it's almost, I don't know what it is. It's like some House of Flying Daggers shit that she's got going on here with the theme song. It kind of fits her kung fu gimmick, I guess. But it's still, I don't like it. Anyway, Ashani Diadonis and Jada Parker at ringside. Jada Parker, fine ass. Oh my God. She was on commentary, but she wasn't really on commentary. She was sitting on top of the desk, looking just so fine, Jesus. And calling Vic Joseph a snitch, because she ain't forgot that he is a snitch. Kalani Jordan wins the match with 2 split leg moonsaults and a chicken wing, crossface chicken wing. So she's using the Bob Backlund crossface chicken wing, which is crazy. Wasn't expecting that. Carmen Petrovic actually tapped out. Kalani Jordan then snapped and put her in the chicken wing again. So the referee reversed the decision. Therefore, Carmen Petrovic won the match. So they're showing Kalani Jordan's aggressive side, her edge, that she did the moonsault on Carmen Petrovic twice while staring at Jada Parker, who, was not intimidated by the new Kalani Jordan. She's kind of like egging it on, really. This is what I wanted. I wanted them to show this side of Kalani Jordan. This is what I wanted. This is what I asked them for. She was too smiley. She was too bland. Now she's got a bit of a chip on her shoulder. It's kind of Roxanne Perez-ish, because, she's not a strong promo. But she's a physical phenom. You just need to find the right character to get that to work. And Jada Parker might be able to bring that out of her. Hopefully she can. The question I have at this point is Jada Parker a babyface or a heel? I know she's kind of like she's a star. It doesn't matter whether she's a babyface or a heel at this point. It's like, well, it does matter because she's in a feud. And when you have Kalani Jordan attacking people after the match, she's kind of a heel. But then again, Carmen Petrovic was kind of a heel not too long ago, too. She was being a bitch, too. So it's like 3 bitches in this thing. But it seemed like Carmen was at least working babyface here. And then maybe Jada Parker is going to be the babyface in her feud with Kalani Jordan? Maybe? Possibly? Even though they just turned her heel again recently? I don't know. Whatever. Lola Vice actually made an appearance, but she was doing suspicious stuff behind Stephanie Vaquer, as Stephanie Vaquer was talking in her promo. Interesting that Lola Vice has not been featured as much, and also quite interesting that Nikita Lyons has disappeared. I wonder what's going on with them. People are noticing things. Anyway, the main event of the show, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, they defeat Obafemi and Trick Williams. Okay. Look, the point of this match was for Trick Williams to prove that he should have gotten the championship match rather than Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. He's going to beat they bitch asses. It turns out Eddie Thorpe had another idea. Eddie Thorpe attacked Trick Williams from behind during the match, leading to Grayson Waller still utilizing some move where he runs from outside the ring to flip into the ring to do something else. And Grayson Waller got the pin for his team. And so Grayson Waller and Austin Theory won the match. Afterwards, Eddie Thorpe very aggressively attacked Trick Williams. Obafemi was like he was going to attack Eddie Thorpe, reconsidered it, and left. Then Eddie Thorpe started to whip Trick Williams with a strap that he had. And is this really the month that you want to have black guys getting hit with straps? I hate to be that guy. I know this is probably a too woke comment. But is this really the time to do this? Is this really the most appropriate time to be whipping niggas on shows? I don't think so. I don't think this is the most appropriate time, Sean. But this is what's happening. So Trick Williams is likely going to fight Eddie Thorpe in a strap match at Vengeance Day. It's not a championship match, but it's a winnable match. Okay. They still doing something with Eddie Thorpe. He hasn't been completely lost in the shuffle. He's going to get a featured match with Trick Williams. It's good for Trick Williams to get a featured match too. But I don't like Eddie Thorpe. I'm just kind of blah on Eddie Thorpe, really. Not really a huge fan. Overall, a solid episode of NXT, I must say. Lexis King promo, it was okay. It did exactly what I needed to do, which is to solidify him as a heel. But now it seems that he's come full circle and has decided to integrate who his father is into himself and to basically stop running from who he is, which is sort of the end of his character arc, if we're being honest. Now, the challenge from Fandango, some people will look at that and say, why do you care about that? And I think they just needed an opponent for him so he can continue his character. I don't think it really matters who the body is. I hate to put it that way. But Trick Williams, not a big fan of him not being put in the Royal Rumble. I think that sucks. Missing out on 60, 70,000 people chanting "whoop that trick" in an arena where they was very willing to chant things and get involved was a huge missed opportunity. Also a huge missed opportunity for Obafemi to not get a chance to be showcased. But I can see why they just didn't do it. They should at least put Trick Williams in there. The men's division is still quite weak, as you could tell, because Reg Holland is being pushed. And they're severely lacking in top-level male talent. So hopefully these new guys that they're about to bring in on Vengeance Day, this new class of guys they're about to bring in, hopefully these guys are ready. They're TV ready, and we can get this thing started with these people immediately. Because the men's division certainly need more opponents. And I don't think they're going to bring more people into NXT. Well, they probably should send some guys to NXT. They send Waller in Theory, but they put them in the tag team division. They put them in the main event almost immediately. There has to be some other guys that he can send to NXT. I know Apollo Crews is injured. But there has to be some other people they can send to NXT to help bolster the men's division. Because there needs to be more solid men's main events on NXT and throughout the rest of the card. At this point, the women are carrying the show. And it's turning out very well in the ratings. The ratings have been going bonkers since the women took over. The problem is that you got a couple of these women, more than a few, that can barely speak English. So you gotta start boosting up some of the guys. You gotta get some guys ready here. And plus, the men are always going to be the meat and potatoes. Speaking of which, Jordan Grace is supposed to be moving to NXT. From what I heard, this was just the dirt sheets talking. She didn't show up on this show, so maybe it'll be a reveal later on down the line, or maybe it's an internet lie and she'll pop up on SmackDown actually. But they did mention at the Royal Rumble that she is now officially on the WWE roster. And most people kind of assumed she would either show up on Raw or NXT. But now NXT has passed and there was no Jordan Grace. So maybe she'll be on SmackDown. SmackDown could certainly use it. Or maybe she'll show up on NXT next week. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But what did you guys think of this show? They're making some big moves in NXT, bringing in Jordan Grace. Man, they need to do something like that for the men. The men need a major free agent signing or a new talent to come through and create. The men need something. They need some help because it can't just be the Trick Williams show, the Obafemi show, and then down the ladder, far down the ladder is Ridge Holland. Like Tony D'Angelo is fine too, but come on, you got to get the guys some help. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you see a session, but you got an affection for no progression, regression. The best don't